Hey there, Esties. It's me, Kristen Marie. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm a licensed esthetician of 6+ years, and I've been sharing with you my real and raw journey for almost 5 years now. So thank you again so much for your love and your support, and I'm excited to dive into today's topic about treatment room etiquette. Now, this idea came to mind because of a few things. I've heard some stories just circulating, in my career of some clients' experiences in other treatment rooms, my own personal experience, and then just comments I've received on YouTube, and I just want to address those in this video, especially for you new estheticians that are newly licensed, or you're in esthetician school and you're just learning the ropes, and say maybe you want to open your own solo practice one day, or you want to work at a high-end spa. There's a certain level and expectation of working in a space that makes clients feel included, makes them feel comfortable, and will more than likely make them want to return. And so this not only will help you represent yourself the best you can, but it'll also help represent us as a community, because whatever I do in my treatment room also reflects on you, and vice versa. We're all a team. Remember that. Hold that with pride and know that you are representing us as a collective. And also too, we want people to just have a positive experience getting facials. I do feel like this video will be really helpful for you, even if you are a seasoned ST. It never hurts to have a gentle reminder. So without further ado, let's get into this topic. Of course, anything that I say is relevant to me right now in my experience as an esthetician of 6+ years. It could change in the future. Whatever resonates with you, take that. Whatever doesn't, just disregard, okay? Again, these are just my own opinions and just based off my own experiences. First thing I wanted to address is really just about, I think, things that maybe we kind of know and we're taught in esthetician school, but I think it still needs to be talked about. I think the first rule of etiquette we should be reminded of is just our appearance. I choose personally to have a uniform, and that is totally my choice and my opinion. I feel like at the end of the day, it's just easier for me because I'm such a freaking busy person that wearing a uniform is just easy. I feel like it's clean cut. Black just happens to be that universal color that us beauty professionals have kind of chosen to represent. I know makeup artists and hairstylists and estheticians typically wear black in their practice. It's just kind of a commonly seen thing, but of course it really is up to you whether you want to rep a uniform or not. And I know I've been asked a lot about my uniform. I've been telling you guys that I'm working on something, and trust me, I am. It's a process, okay? I promise you it's on the way. When it comes to just your appearance, I just want to encourage you to keep it clean and professional. I think it's important not to roll out of bed and come into your practice, at least at the bare minimum. Have your hair done. It should technically be pulled back and out of your face. I know that I have seen online, sometimes our hair is down, and sometimes that is just for content, okay? And I understand that. And I think that we need to address that elephant in the room too in this video, because there's a difference between maybe sometimes what we see online and what actually goes on in our treatment rooms. But I do feel like for the sake of just letting clients know that we are sanitary, we're professional, we care a lot about their safety, and that should be number one at the end of the day, is that the client's safety comes first. And the reason why we pull our hair back is to not get hair in product or on the client. It's just a sanitary thing. It's kind of like why people have to put their hair back in service jobs. We are technically, I do feel like, in a medical type of setting. It is a little bit more casual than like a doctor's office, but aside from going to the doctor, a lot of people don't really ever get close to other people the way that they get close to us or allow us to be close in their space. So I do feel like it's important to still adhere to these standards, having your hair pulled back and having a nice, clean, professional appearance. I do feel like even just keeping your clothing more modest. I know sometimes like my boobies will come out because I got them done and they're just there sometimes, but for the most part, I do try to keep, you know, minimal cleavage, no crop tops, no ripped jeans. Like, I'm just more old school, okay? And I know like that standard has been kind of changing lately. And personally, I don't know if I'm really a fan of it, but I do know that the reason why I'm able to bring in clients of all ages is because I keep it clean and professional. You will get those clients who maybe are of the older generations who prefer a more professional, clean-cut appearance and space. And so if you want to attract those type of clients, and let me tell you, those type of clients, even though yes, they have maybe a little bit more of an old school mindset, a little bit more high maintenance, quote unquote, they are some of my most loyal and consistent clients, and they can afford facials, okay? So we want to be inclusive of attracting those kind of clients into our practice as well. And I hate to say it, people will judge you off your appearance. So I'm not saying you need to come in with a full face of makeup either. It doesn't hurt to throw on a little concealer, put on a little bit of blush or highlight, put on a little mascara, just something that just makes you look more awake and approachable. That is what I'm trying to get at, okay? You don't need to have full glam every day. But I will say, people will judge on appearance, and they will look at your skin as well. I'm not saying you need to have perfect skin, but you know, as long as you're working on your skin and you are representing your own skin the way that you would treat your client's skin. That also goes for just making sure you're keeping up with your own personal hygiene, your own skincare routine. And I hate to say it, but you know, putting on that deodorant, popping that mint in your mouth before you work on somebody, it makes a difference, trust me, especially when you're this close to someone's face. It's temporary, but I know that I don't really like to get breathed on by coffee breath, okay? So I had to say it, someone has to say it. Take what you will. I love you, and I'm saying this from a good place. The second thing I wanted to address is filming, okay, and making content when you are working on a client. Now, at my high-end spa job, we were not allowed to use our phones whatsoever, and I do still, as much as I can, try to adhere to that. Of course, once you start running your own show and you gotta answer phone calls and texts from clients who are maybe running late, or, you know, for me, I have to buzz people in on my phone to let them inside. So I do have to have my phone out and in plain sight so that I can see it. But I would say until you've established that rapport with someone, I would absolutely try to keep the phone away. I would still encourage that you take that before photo and that before video of your first time client. But I probably would not whip out the phone like the very first time they come in. Now, have I been guilty of that? Absolutely. I've definitely filmed somebody the first time they've come in, and I've kind of been trying to switch that up, I'll be honest. Like, I do feel like I want to be more present for that first time guest and make sure that they feel comfortable, that they're not just always going to be filmed every single time they come in. And I do understand the importance of making content and all of that, but you do also want to give them a relaxing experience. And not everybody is comfortable on camera. So if you want to, you can put a little questionnaire in your intake form, put it in your online intake form or your physical intake form, and just ask people, hey, are you comfortable being on camera? Taking a before picture should be kind of mandatory just for your own personal records to take photos sometimes. But as far as somebody feeling comfortable getting content made of them, we definitely want to get verbal and or written consent from people that they're okay with that. And I would only do it if you know and you're comfortable with that person. I know, again, I'm guilty of this. I have done it before, but I'm learning, you know, as I've had my practice, like when it's appropriate and when it's not. So just use your own judgment and move accordingly. I know I've received comments as well in my videos about just the angles that I'm doing, where I'm putting product into the cup, or I'm showing a product in the facial video. And yeah, there has been occasions where it was like above someone's face. And I would hope that you guys would know that I proceed with that with as much caution as possible, okay? I usually have goggles on the person, and I feel like the way I'm filming is pretty far away from their face. You guys might not be able to tell on the camera, but it is pretty far away from their face. Like, it's usually not right here where I'm like mixing it or I'm pumping it. And I'm being as extremely careful as possible. I will say, for those of you who are making content, just know that that is a risk, that you could possibly get product somewhere where you don't want it to get, and we just want to be as careful as we can. So when we're making content, and even I'm going to be implementing this moving forward, to not put product directly above someone's face, ideally putting it to the side or putting it at an angle that is further away from the client when you're trying to film a product, or, you know, because I know like a lot of these ASMR videos and facial videos, you want to get those up close, yummy shots of the products, right? But hopefully me sharing this in this video will remind you guys that client safety is number one. So just make sure that if you are filming, you are putting goggles over the client's eyes. If you're using a product like a peel or mask, ideally filming it a bit further away from the client versus right above their face. And two, providing consent to your client, knowing that there is more risk involved getting filmed. Yeah, I just know that I'm on camera here representing all of you guys, and I hope that you know that I am using as much care and caution as I possibly can, and I will be making adjustments, and I hope that you guys will also do the same. Now, sadly, one of the horror stories I've heard is a client told me that somebody put a mask on them and then went to the other room and did a wax on somebody and was kind of trying to like double it, double team it. And that is just totally unacceptable. I'm sorry. I don't know if some of you think that that's okay, or who told you that would be okay. I know we're all trying to make money and we're trying to hustle, but I do not support whatsoever working on multiple people at the same time. If you wanted to be able to do that, then maybe you should have gotten into hair or even nails or something else. But being an SD, I think it would be very difficult to give your client a good experience if you are trying to juggle multiple clients at a time. So that should be a big no-no in your mind, that you know you can work on multiple people at once. Just stay focused on your one person and schedule the next person at another time. All right, I think the next thing I wanted to address, again, could be a touchy subject, but again, take what you will. And I say this from a place of love. I know that sometimes we get really comfortable with our clients and we become friends with them, and we end up maybe wanting to hang out outside of the treatment room, and that is totally your call. But I will tell you that you just have to go into that knowing that there is a possibility that that person you could lose that person as a client, because say, you know, something goes on and you guys aren't friends anymore or something, or it gets a little too personal, then there's always that risk of, you know, you losing that client, or also that person just getting more comfortable. Okay, like I do feel like personally it's harder for me to enforce policies and all of that on family and friends. The closer we get to our clients, there is that possibility of, you know, kind of feeling like they can bend the rules a little bit, and they're not as respectful of your time. Again, I'm not saying everybody that that's the case, because I do have a handful of clients that I have seen outside of the treatment room and everything's great. Especially when someone is coming onto your table for the first time, I would keep your conversations more, you know, platonic and professional in the very beginning until you really get to know them and you establish that trust and rapport with somebody. I do think it's important to keep your conversations away from touchy subjects, so things like politics, religion, things of that nature, because we, at least in our practice, want to make our space inclusive and a place of relaxation for everybody. But I want to encourage you that if you do decide to partake in that, then there is a chance that you could rub somebody the wrong way, and that might not necessarily translate in the moment where they, you know, voice to you that they don't agree with it, but they could take that home with them and not come back. And so I've always just made sure that whenever I'm working on clients, unless they bring it up and it's an open dialogue and there's no judgment and there's no, you know, it's a safe space, then have at it. But I would definitely say for like a first timer, even the first couple times they come in, to avoid topics like that, or even just about yourself too, your own personal life, you know, talking about who you're dating or this and that, or, you know, just keeping it professional in the beginning for sure. And another way to make your client feel just more comfortable, not pointing out anything that maybe would make them uncomfortable, like a scar they have on them. The only thing that you should be pointing out that you notice about them is on their face. If it's on their body or anywhere else, I would encourage you to zip it unless they bring it up and they're like, oh, by the way, you know, this happened and that's why that mark is there. We don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable by saying, oh, what's that, like on your arm, or what's that on your foot? Like, you know, would you feel comfortable if somebody, you know, pointed that out when they're supposed to be able to come here and just relax and get a service done without feeling judged? I always tell people when they come in here, like, this is a non-judgment zone. I don't care if you just came off of work and your feet might stink a little, it's fine. Like, you know, but people feel really like, you know, self-conscious about some of those things. So it's important to not necessarily point those things out unless they bring it up to you. So if it's not on the face, then I would just not even point it out unless it looks like something that could be harming them. And that goes into my next point about product shaming. And I have noticed a lot of this even just in our own professional community of, you know, oh, this person uses that line, or why are you using this, or this line is better. Okay, you know, everybody is subject to their own opinions and their own experiences and preferences, and you just have to know that whatever you decide to use in your practice is totally your call. Whatever I decide to use in my practice is totally my call. Unless somebody is doing something that is harming another person, then I feel maybe it's appropriate to point it out. But we are not the product police, especially with our clients. When clients are coming in for the first time, and they tell you they're using St. Ives, your reaction should not be, oh my God, like what? You know, because who knows, maybe they grew up using St. Ives and they thought it was good for their skin, and maybe their mom wasn't around to tell them it wasn't good for their skin, and they maybe have never had a facial. So it's best to not have a big reaction to something, even if you know it's not good for their skin. Just say, okay, great, well, let's suggest something else instead, you know, and do it from a non-judgmental place. And I do feel like it's powerful as an Esty to be able to give advice about many skincare lines versus just the ones that we carry in our space. I do feel like a lot of people really enjoy that about coming here. And of course, we are going to believe and push our products more because that's, of course, why we carry them, because we want to sell those to our clients and we believe in them. Number one, you should believe in what you're selling. But if someone prefers to use something else and it's working for them, and they're using it safely, which I feel like is our job to be able to kind of coach them to use something properly, then that's just going to make you look more educated, and that person can trust your information and feel comfortable that, hey, maybe when they run out of that product, they'll go ahead and use the product that you recommend because you seem educated about it. And they don't feel like when they come in to get a facial, they're like ashamed to tell you that they started to use another line. I do think it's important to make people feel like no matter what, you are their coach. You're their skincare coach. As professionals, we're going to recommend that they use a professional or medical grade product based off our education. But at the end of the day, it's their money and it's their choice. And I know I've gotten comments before on videos where it's like, oh, well, why didn't you recommend this? Or tell the person they shouldn't get Botox, or they shouldn't do this, or they should do that. I feel like it's not my place to tell someone. It's to meet the person where they're at and give my advice based off, again, my own experience and opinions. If they're open to suggestion, then I will proceed with sharing with them the alternatives or my experience or my education. That's just the style that I have as an esthetician. Your style may be different. You may want to be the SD that's like, you know, more hardcore with it, and that's totally your call. I'm a little bit more of a soft approach type of person. And last but not least, I want to leave you off with just a reminder about being on time and enforcing policies. I have definitely taken it upon myself to give a bit more grace when it comes to policies sometimes, especially with a client who has been consistent, who does, I know, respect our policies. I want you to take every situation per case and evaluate it per that relationship you have with that client and just the situation. But also remember that You know, there's going to be occasions maybe where you need some grace, and that's also, you know, that's totally acceptable. That sometimes you're going to need to reschedule or you're running late. So that's fine. But I'm talking about the instances where it's repeated. Okay, I've seen a lot of horror stories online about self-employed beauty experts, hair people, skincare people, all the like, who are always rescheduling on people, who are running late, who are not being clear about their prices. I think it's very important to represent our solo SD community by being on time and being honest. Again, you're representing all of us. And so if one person has one bad experience with a solo SD or a solo beauty person, they're going to label us all that way. If it's a chronic problem that you have doing that, then definitely take a step back and ask yourself, like, why am I always running late? Why is this happening? Why is that happening? And we can get into that in another video. But I would just say definitely remember to respect other people's time. There shouldn't be this sense of entitlement just because we work for ourselves, or that we have a lot of followers, or that we have good work. Because at the end of the day, that really doesn't matter. We need to respect people's time and money, and that they could easily go somewhere else. So again, I hope that was helpful for you. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hit the subscribe button, comment below any questions, and I'll see you guys back here for the next one.